is a lot different.
Elaborate on that, my brother.
I'm gonna tell you. It's not that because they're at a charter school, they're still kids and they still do things behaviorally that are indicative of being 15, 16, 17 years old.
Absolutely.
When I was at Tri-Cities, when I was at Mays, and kids do things and you try to redirect their negative behavior, the kids don't know how to receive love, or they don't know or recognize when you're trying to love them. They will meet you with the same energy you've given them. You understand what I'm saying?
That's
so
real.
If you come to a kid and you like, yo, you can't da, like they gonna give you that same energy. So you have to be very.
All right, everyone, we are super excited to have Mr. Rick Fowler from the great state of Georgia, Atlanta, GA in the house.
Yeah.
Mr. Fowler is the proud principal of Hapeville Charter School, which is a grade 9 through 12 school. Over 700 of the best students in the city of Atlanta.
Absolutely.
Doing great things there. This is 4th year. Mr. Fowler has been in the K12 space since 1994. And he is living proof that black don't crack. Look at that. Look at that young man there, right there. Looking great.
Appreciate that, Doc.
Yeah, almost 30 years in the business and still going strong. And we are super grateful that he took the time to come on the My K12 Career Show and just share his story, his journey, his passion with our viewers and our listeners. So, Mr. Fowler, what's up, my brother? Can you please tell us what's going on in your life and in your K12 career right now?
Yeah, first of all, Dr. Williams, let me say it is a pleasure to be on the podcast with you. I reached out to you and you graciously accepted it. And so really, I did want to start off by saying thank you for giving me the opportunity and the platform. In terms of where I am now, I'm the proud principal of Hapeville Charter Career Academy in Union City, where we serve, like you said, about 700 outstanding Black and brown students.
Wow.
And so it is really my honor. My position would indicate that I lead, but I'm most proud to serve. And so my position is one of complete servitude of the adults and the children that are in the building. So I use my position as the ultimate opportunity to serve in whatever capacity that I can. And so that's where I am now, and I'm absolutely loving it.
That's awesome. Also, I didn't mention, you're also working on your doctorate degree. You got a lot of stuff going on, my brother. You're working on your doctorate degree from UGA. I'm not going to hold that against you. I'm a big LSU fan, but we're not going to hold that against you.
All right.
Bulldogs. We might meet y'all
It's
later
all
on
good.
In the championship.
It's all good. Go Dogs.
But yeah, you're at UGA. You're finishing up your doctorate. You're also writing a book. We want to get into that. But you got a lot of great things going on. How do you juggle all that?
To me, Dr. Williams, it's not a juggling act, because when you're working in your purpose, that passion and your why fuels everything.
Wow.
And so none of it is, I consider, to be burdensome, but it is all sort of what I'm driven to do. I'm driven to serve. As I stated before, I have a really good support system with my family, but working with UGA, working on a book, serving, none of it is disconnected. It is all linked into the greater good. And so the balancing, I don't really see it as a balancing act. Again, when you're working in your purpose, when you find your niche in life, no matter what that niche is, Dr. Williams, we all were put here with a purpose and a niche.
100.
And it is a blessing. It is a blessing when one finds their niche in life, whether early on or later in life. But when you find that niche, you find yourself waking up in the morning with a purpose.
100%.
You find yourself waking up in the morning, not saying to yourself, I have to go to work, but I get to go to work.
Ooh,
you understand what I'm saying?
Say that.
So when you find your niche and your language shifts, none of it is a balancing act. And I have found my niche in life, and that is service through education.
That's amazing. I love that. You actually hit on something that I say to my kids all the time. You see them in the background. I tell them, hey, we don't get through the day, we get from the day.
Come on.
Right? What are we getting from this day?
Come on.
And also we have a little mantra that every time I let them out of the car at their school, I say, let's go, let's get it.
Yeah.
Right. So, it's all about, we all get 24/7. I don't care who we are. I don't care what our station is in life. We all get 24/7. And I like what you said. It's not a balancing act. This is your purpose. This is your mission. You're mission driven, and you wake up out of bed with a pep in your step and a smile on your face, and you go get it. So that's what's up. I love it.
Because there are people, when you look at K-12 education, in my genre, it's the high school. You only have but a little bit of time to do your best for students and for educators in that particular season. And so the thing of it is, Doc, a lot of times we look at it as trying to change lives, and we can change lives, but I like to look at it as just changing the trajectory of somebody's life in the time that we have them. And so sometimes we could almost set ourselves up for failure as educators when we look at it as trying to change somebody's life in a finite amount of time. All we can do is just do the best that we can possibly do in the time that we have, so that in their next season, they're prepared for that. And so really it's about preparing students, educators, whoever you are serving, preparing them for their next season. Yeah. Whether their next season is college, whether their next season is career, whatever their next season is, you want to make sure you expose them to as many things as you possibly can, so that they start to run towards opportunities. It's not what you're running from, it's what you're running to. Wow. Doc. And so you want to instill inspiration, you want to instill hope, so that when kids leave you, which they are going to, they are prepared socially, academically, confidence-wise, whatever it is, to conquer that next step.
Wow. Very powerful words, Brother Fowler. I really appreciate that. You're going to have me saying amen up in here.
Come on.
100%.
Come on,
That's
Doc.
What's up. No, that's really powerful. And, it's clear that you're definitely making an impact on your young people's lives. What made you get into this profession? Have you always wanted to be a K-12 educator?
Nah, So it's funny, my dad, he's passed, but my dad was that dude in my life.
Okay.
And my dad was an emergency room physician.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. And so just wanting to follow in his footsteps, I always had this aspiration of being a doctor. Yeah. Even though, Doc, when I spent time with him in the emergency room, I was disgusted by blood and guts. It was rough for me. He'd be like, come here, stand next to me, son. I'd be lightheaded. And so, but I thought I could persevere through that.
Sure.
And when I graduated from Howard, I immediately started teaching.
Okay.
And my dad arbitrarily, he was going to Philadelphia for something, and he stopped in DC, and he had the opportunity to watch me teach.
Okay.
And we went to dinner that night, and he said, son, you're not a doctor. You're an educator. Okay. And listen, those words rang so true to me. It was almost like he lifted this weight off of my shoulder to not follow him, because I wasn't a doctor.
Yeah.
And moreover, not only did he lift that, but it communicated to me the respect that he had for educators. Because you don't find many people saying you're not a doctor, you're a teacher. Because folk in the world don't make that equivalency between a medical doctor and an educator. Right. He made that equivalency. It wasn't like a down step. You understand what I'm saying? And so that freed me. And ever since then, I've been an educator.
That's good. So he just gave you ability to fly and your purpose.
Oh, man. Oh, man. Yeah.
That's what's up.
Just kind of at dinner, it was super powerful.
Well, that's powerful. And kudos to him, for having a very profound impact on your life. Unfortunately, a lot of us brothers don't grow up with that father figure.
They don't.
You were definitely blessed in that regard. Yeah.
Which is why we have to do our best, Doc, when I talk about that season that we have. Sometimes as Black men, we have to fill that gap.
Sure. 100.
And filling that gap doesn't mean being a replacement. It means just being a mentor. Yes. It means being a friend. It means being a listener. Means being an accountability partner, because you're not their father. You understand what I'm saying? So you can't replace something that you are not, but you can fill voids that are left from broken families.
Sure.
And so, but I don't want us to adopt, sometimes we can embellish that role.
Mm.
We have to be honest about how we can serve.
Sure.
And serve in the needs that we can serve. Now that ability and your role in a young man's life through time can grow.
Sure.
But you just have to find your niche in that and be there for a young man in the way that they need you to be there for, as opposed to a way that you want to be there for. And sometimes there's a disconnect in that.
That's fair. So you said, and your dad, he gave you agency and said, hey, you're a teacher. How long did you teach before you got into administration?
So I taught probably for about 6 or 7 years.
Okay.
And then I entered into really what was an amazing program. I got my master's from the University of Texas at Austin.
Okay.
And as a function of that program, they pull you out of the classroom immediately.
Wow.
And so what was so good about that program was while you were in the program, you were serving as an assistant principal.
Okay.
So it wasn't like you get the paper, then you get the job. You were kind of doing both things at the same time. And
hands-on
so while
training.
you were an assistant principal, absolutely, you could go to class and kind of talk about, what happened, how you should handle those things. And so
Absolutely.
that's how I entered into leadership. And that started in Texas. And then I moved to Atlanta in 2011, where I served as an assistant principal at Tri-Cities High School for a year.
Okay.
Under the leadership of Dan Sims, Dr. Dan Sims.
Shout out to Dan Sims.
Shout out to Dr. Sims, who really is an amazing, Dr. Sims served when I was an assistant principal at Tri-Cities. He was the principal, so he served as my boss then.
Okay.
I left Tri-Cities after a year, became the principal at Woodland Middle School, where I learned just how to walk, talk, the swagger of a principal.
Sure.
After that, I became the principal at Mays High School in Atlanta Public Schools. While I was the principal in Atlanta, he became an associate superintendent in Atlanta. I said, I can't get away from this brother. Yeah. So he served as my immediate supervisor for a while. Wow. So really I'll be forever indebted to his leadership and his impact on my career.
That's really cool. He's a really good guy. And I want to get Dr. Sims on the show as well, because he would be a powerful interview too. He has an amazing story as well. So it sounds like you've had some good mentors, some good experience, worked at the middle school, the high school, and now you're currently in a charter school.
Yeah.
And how's that been going?
Listen, I want to be clear. The charter school that I serve still serves Black and brown people who live in poverty.
Absolutely.
They still come with the same academic deficiencies. Sure. But a major difference that I have found is socially, their response to redirection is a lot different.
Elaborate on that, my brother.
I'm gonna tell you. It's not that because they're at a charter school, they're still kids and they still do things behaviorally that are indicative of being 15, 16, 17 years old.
Absolutely.
When I was at Tri-Cities, when I was at Mays, and kids do things and you try to redirect their negative behavior, because kids don't know how to receive love, or they don't know or recognize when you're trying to love them, they will meet you with the same energy you've given them. You understand what I'm saying?
That's
so
real.
If you come to a kid and you like, yo, you can't da, like they're going to give you that same energy. So you have to be very careful and very intentional about the energy that you give a kid when you're trying to redirect that behavior, if you're not ready for that same energy to come back. You understand what I'm saying?
Right.
Sometimes we will start to treat the energy and get disconnected from treating the behavior.
Yes.
When now you're just in this quagmire of me versus you. Yeah. And so then you get into this argument of I'm a grown man and you just a kid and you're not going to be talking to me that way, as if there is an equivalency of how to handle conflict from a child to an adult.
Wow.
There's not an equivalency. So even when you are redirecting negative behavior, you still have to do it in a way that a student understands. Now, you can come hard, but you just got to be ready to receive that negative energy and know how to deal with it, Doc.
Absolutely.
You got to know how to deal with it. And yelling louder, that's not an effective strategy.
No.
However, at the charter, they don't come to you with that energy. That what I say, their response to redirection. So For example, we're a uniform school.
Okay.
When kids don't come to their uniform, they automatically sort of self-report. They don't try to hide all day. They'll come up to me or an administrator and be like, listen, I don't have my uniform. I couldn't wash it. It'll be some futile excuse as to whether they don't have the uniform, but I just appreciate that they have the ability to manage up. You understand what I'm saying? Sometimes adults don't even have the ability to manage up. An adult won't do their lesson plan, and they won't come say, hey, Fowler, I ain't do my lesson plan, yada, yada, yada. Then when I find the lesson plan is not done, or they're not teaching to the lesson plan from an observation, and I say, Dr. Williams, I came to your classroom, you don't even have no lesson plan. Now you get, well, I'm sorry, yada, yada, yada.
The dog
but if you'd have managed up and just said, if I don't have my lesson plan, dude, I'm just going to self-report. It's a whole different conversation.
Yeah.
So kids, and I'm not even going to say our charter schools, I'm just going to make it specific to my experience. They know how to manage up. They want to always give their best, but I think they have a different skill set of how to show you that they're trying to do their best.
100%.
I think kids everywhere, Doc, it doesn't matter how they show up. They still want to give you their best.
Absolutely.
You understand what I'm saying? And sometimes we listen, Doc, you see in kids what you look for. All the time.
Absolutely.
So if I'm looking for your best, Dr. Williams, even if you're giving me your worst, I'm going to see what you're trying to give me.
Absolutely.
Kids need love the most when they deserve it the least.
Ooh, say that again, Doc.
Kids need love the most when they deserve it the least.
That's powerful.
And that's how you gotta look at what you look for in kids, what you see in them. The difference between my particular charter school and listen, when I say mine, it's not because of me. It's not because of me. It's because of who they are and who they are when they walk in the door. They just show up a little bit differently socially,
right?
Which is one of the differences that I find in that charter world.
Yeah, that's powerful. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, the other difference is the level of parental engagement.
Okay.
Listen. There's a difference between parental involvement and parental engagement. We have to separate the two.
Yeah.
So parental involvement is if I call you, you may pick up the phone and do what I ask you to do. Parental involvement is if we have a curriculum night, you show up to the curriculum night. Parental engagement is when you call me and hold me accountable for how I'm serving the kid. Parental engagement is when I hold a parent meeting and parents are actively engaged in the process and are asking relevant questions in the process and are asking me specifically, how can I help my kids with their homework if I don't know the content? Or they come up to the school and they eat lunch with the kids and they go to the class with their kids, not to check the teacher, but to understand at a deeper level what's happening in the classroom so that they can be in partnership.
Right.
Parental engagement is when I have a parent whose child graduates and they wash the khakis and the uniform shirt and give it back to the school so that I can help another child with it.
Wow, that's powerful.
That's engagement, and sometimes we intertwine those two words again as if is an equivalency. The parental engagement at my school is on another level. It causes me to think differently about what I do with my parents because they don't just take what I give them and then just go with it.
No, that's powerful. You know, I mean, it sounds like what you're saying in a nutshell is that parental engagement, or parents that follow the parental engagement path, really believe in that African proverb that says it takes a village to raise our children.
It does. But let me tell you what we have to work on as educators.
Okay.
There is, when you deal with the Black and brown community, right, there is a distrust of systems. So there is a distrust of the judicial system when it comes to Black and brown folk.
Sure.
That distrust of the judicial system plays itself more so in our interactions with the police, but the police are just a part of that entire system.
Okay.
There is a distrust of the medical system. So
Mm.
you find Black and brown folk are hesitant to go to the doctors, especially Dr. Williams, when it relates to mental health, because there's a distrust of that entire system.
Sure.
The educational system is a part of that distrust. So what we have to do is when we say it takes a village to raise a child, we have to make sure that when parents come into our building, they're not faced with seeming like the system is so large they don't know how to interact with it.
Wow. Okay.
We have to make sure that because there might be a difference of how to communicate the issue, we don't espouse our value system as an educator on a parent who may not have the same value system, and then castigate that parent as being uneducated, or you're not going to talk to me like that. You understand what I'm saying? Yeah. And so the school has to make sure that we cultivate that trust within the community.
Wow. That's powerful.
When that trust in the community is cultivated, then you will transition from parental involvement to parental engagement, because now the parents feel safe. The community feels safe. We always talking about making it safe for the child, but what do we do to make it safe for the community and the parents to come and ask a question, and for the parent to feel like that's a relevant question no matter what the question is? You understand what I'm saying? Yeah. Some parents are apprehensive about saying, listen, I don't know nothing about calculus. I can't help my child on calculus. Tell me how I can help him at home. Like, that's a tough question, because you don't want to seem like, how do you not know how to help your child with the homework?
Right, right.
So when we talk about it takes a village, we have to not just assume that the community trusts our village.
Right. That's fair. I like that. So how do you help, improve that trust of the system as a whole? Do you bring in, police officers into your building, or judicial or medical? Like, how do you make that?
I'm gonna tell you what I've done.
Okay.
Particularly when I was at Mays, I would spend time going to parent meetings of the elementary schools.
Okay.
Knowing that those parents eventually would make it to high school.
Sure.
And so, and we also know that parental engagement is exponentially higher at elementary school than it is at high school.
Very true.
So if you can connect with the parents in a space where they are willing to be connected with, you have to take advantage of that.
Starts at the elementary level. Yeah.
Yes, you got to start there. You got to start there. And I'm not saying take over the meeting. I'm just saying be there, introduce yourself, let them know that you're here to help. So by the time they get to the high school, you've already cultivated a relationship with the parent and maybe with the child.
Absolutely.
Listen, as a high school principal, you could just go and walk the building with the elementary school principal and see the kid. Listen, as a high school principal to elementary kids, you like Michael Jordan, my brother.
Yeah, 100%.
You like Michael Jordan. So the more that you can cultivate that, not just when they show up to your school, but prior to that, now you're building trust.
100%.
Now you're building trust. And now when parents are in the community talking about the high school, they could say at an elementary school, Doc, they could be like, nah, man, I met the principal from Mays. I think it's going to be a good relationship.
Absolutely. I love it.
Sometimes we wait until it's too late. You understand what I'm saying? We wait until it's too late to build that brand and to change the narrative of your school. And then when we wait and it's too late, then we start to wash our hands and blame the community and blame the parents.
Wow. You're right. You are so right. Doc, let's pivot. You have a book that's coming out. Can you share a little bit about the book, the title, why you decided to write it, and when it can be made to the public? Yeah.
So the book is entitled The Blueprint to Successful School Leadership.
Okay.
Yeah. And really it's built for new and aspiring leaders.
Okay.
And so, nobody really teaches us some intangibles about leadership.
Okay.
I'll give you a perfect example. I was at a high school and I'm working with their assistant principals. Most of them knew.
Okay.
And I asked them, I said, what's your burning bush? I asked each of them individually. And all of them were giving me these, like this jargon to me. So I'm like, what's your burning bush? And they're like, differentiation in classroom management. What's your burning bush? Rigor in the classroom and effective instructional strategies. What's your burning bush in the classroom? And so listen,
yeah,
yes, but that's all they know. So I said, well, let's just go out in the hallway and let me see kind of the energy in the building. Bruh, listen, the late bell rang and I could barely hear the late bell.
That many kids in the hallway. Wow.
I asked this one kid, I said, son, did you hear the late bell ring? Now, granted, he don't know me, right? I said, did you hear the late bell? He like, nah, I ain't hear no late bell, sir.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, you didn't hear the late bell? He like, nah. I said, what time should you be in class? I don't know, but I'm on my way.
Wow.
Now, I could have been asking the wrong kid. You know what I'm saying? You know how you go into a classroom and you sit next to a student, you start asking the student a question, and the teacher looking at you like, oh my God, are all the kids in the classroom? That's the joker that you gonna ask about you understand what I'm saying? That joke ain't been in class in forever, and that's the one that you ask. So it very well may have been I asked the wrong kid, right?
Yeah.
But it was pervasive. So when I got back with the assistant principals, I said, y'all got a forest fire of the school not being systematically managed just in the passing periods, but you all's burning bush didn't even connect with the culture. And when I say the culture, Doc, I'm not talking about the culture of the entire building, because when you look at culture, listen, you have to divide up culture. There's a social culture, there's an instructional culture, there's a culture of how kids perform and behave in the hallway, there's a culture of how they do in the lunchroom. So sometimes we just say school culture and it's all inclusive.
Mm-hmm.
I say your culture of getting kids in the classroom should be your burning bush, because all the stuff that you're talking about, none of that is going to happen until they get into the classroom. That's what we have to work on. So that's part of the impetus behind my book is just making a guide so that, and I tried to make it user friendly, and you don't have to read it from cover to cover, but there's some chapters around pace and cadence, around being a new leader, and not just immediately changing some things as a function of your title, but making sure that you understand why the school does what they do, and don't just assume that they never had school and now you showing up, so now we're going to start having school because I'm a new leader in the building, all the way down to when you talked about how do I manage things, the 24/7 aspect of school leadership, and then understanding what your leadership style is. Really, I called it understanding your swag as a leader, because listen, Doc, who you think you are as a leader means nothing until you sitting in that seat.
That's true.
And I think sometimes leaders need to realize, when you watching another leader lead and you're saying to yourself quietly in your mind that I can lead better than that person or differently than that person, it's all going to shift when you sit in that seat.
Absolutely.
And so I think new leaders need to understand that the confidence that you have in your ability to lead when you are not a leader, it's going to be shaken when you actually become the leader, and you the one that receiving all of those complaints. So that's kind of what the book is about.
Yeah. That reminds me of that quote by Mike Tyson. You know, they were asking him when he was fighting and boxing, you know, it's like, yeah, the guy said he has a really good game plan to beat you. And he's like, yeah, everybody got a plan until they get punched in the mouth.
You get punched in the mouth.
Right. So you're right.
Yeah.
You can have
and them punches in the mouth going to be coming left and right. Body blow, body blow, body blow. You understand what I'm saying? And so, you know, another thing is you got to just determine, are you built for it? Because you have the passion for it does not mean that you are built for it. You have to be built to, and I keep using the word serve, because people don't need to be led. People need to be served in their position.
That's so powerful.
And when you serve somebody in their position, somebody else will anoint you with the title of leadership. You can't anoint yourself as a leader.
Yep.
And
you know what I always say, Doc? I say everybody that got an admin cert is not a leader.
Nah. And everybody, and listen, and you have people, listen, you have informal leadership in your building and you have formal leadership in your building.
Absolutely.
And even if you are granted the formal title of leader in your building, people might not be listening to you.
That's so true.
And it's not your job to knock down the person who they listen to. It's your job to learn and see why they listen to this person and how you could create an alliance.
Right. That's real.
You understand what I'm saying? That's serving. When you get lunch for your teachers, you go behind that lunch table and you serve them the food.
Absolutely.
And when they're done eating the food, you get the trash can and you put your trash can around and you pick up the plates.
Absolutely.
That was service. That's what service is.
Oh, that's powerful.
And for the educator and for the student.
When's that book coming out?
And it's on Amazon right now.
Oh, it's on Amazon already?
Yeah, it's new to the mug now. It's new, but it's there.
Okay.
The blueprint to successful school leadership.
Awesome. So we'll definitely make sure we get all that information from you, and we'll put it in the show notes. Also, Doc, you have a really, really good, powerful voice, and I would strongly encourage you to make it into an Audible book too. You know?
Yeah, so, I hadn't even thought about that.
Yeah, I think it would really resonate. Like, I'll be honest with you, I was a voracious reader growing up. But dude, I'm almost 100% on Audible now. Like because I'm so busy, right? I still like to read. I still like to, engage with books. But man, it's so much easier when you ripping and running.
It's a whole lot easier.
Just put it on.
I'm on it. You listen. But even before the show, for the folks listening, Dr. Williams had been dropping these bombs on me all morning long, and that was another one. And I accept that, sir.
100%. Yeah, I think it's really powerful what you're saying. And you've obviously already put it in written form, but man, to actually put it in audio form, man.
That's super dope. That's super dope. 100%. I appreciate that, Doc.
Yes, sir. So first of all, I just want to honor you because I started this show to celebrate amazing school leaders and educators like yourself. And I want to honor you for almost 30 years working in K12 education and making an impact on all the different students at the different levels throughout your career as a teacher and an administrator. And I know you've really made an impact on a lot of students in your career, and you will continue to make an impact on students and leaders and communities in your career. So I want to honor you for all the good work that you've done.
I appreciate that.
Yes, sir. And, I'm also very grateful that you came on the show. I started this show because I felt like we are the greatest profession in the world and we don't get our flowers, right? We're not respected like your father, who was a physician, respected as a profession like that. And truthfully, we are the profession that makes all other professions possible. So
that's right. And Doc, listen, you have a large platform. I'm just gonna drop this one other thing.
Yes, sir.
Because we struggle with getting effective educators into the classroom.
Sure.
We struggle with the professionalism of our profession. And one of the reasons that we suffer is because educators do not get paid their just due.
Absolutely.
If teachers were paid like judges were paid, we'd need less judges. And so if there's somebody on your podcast who's listening,
yes, sir,
who can effectively change a policy or a budgetary item, I don't even know what it looks like, but we have to pay these educators their worth. Absolutely. If we expect to increase the professionalism, if we expect to increase the talent of the educators that are in front of us, if we can expect to change the trajectory of education in our world, we have to bring in qualified educators. And the only way that we can bring in qualified educators is if we pay them what they're due. I'm not asking to pay them something that they're not due, but we offer our most prized possession, that's our children.
Yes.
To school where they are at school. Listen, if you have a student who's an athlete, they spend more time in the schoolhouse than they do at home.
That's so true.
And until we can pay educators, not just to educate content. Listen, we don't teach content. We teach kids through content. And until we can put forth the type of talent that our students deserve by paying them their just due to wear as many hats as they possibly can, the professionalism of our profession is going to continue to decay. Wow. So if there's somebody on there that is up, politics, whatever it is, is above my pay grade, that could work on paying these teachers what they do.
Yes.
Pay these teachers what they do. Pay these teachers what they do. And you'll get a better product of educators to serve our kids. Absolutely. And I'm not saying that we need a new product. What I'm saying is, because the educators, I'll speak just my experience, the educators that I have at Hapeville are outstanding educators. They're what we need, but they don't get paid what they deserve.
Wow, that's powerful.
They don't get paid what they are deserved. So got to pay these folks.
Yeah, I can definitely hear the passion in your voice about this. And I totally agree with you 100%. And I think it's a pervasive issue. And I think we're making, as a country, way too many excuses about that.
Absolutely.
You know, if we can spend billions and billions and billions of dollars on missile defense systems and all this other kind of stuff that we're probably never going to use in our lifetime, and at least there's a deterrent, we can definitely spend some of that money and, you know, divide some of that money for education, right? And
talk about it.
That needs to happen. And
yeah,
right. It's a talent drain because, you know, I'm sure you have children. I know I have children. And, you know, just because I'm in the business, they're probably going to consider K-12 education. But what's daddy saying? Daddy's saying engineer, you know, he's saying, you know, computer scientists, like because I want them to be able to make a living, and I want to make sure that they're appreciated.
That's right.
For profession that they choose. And I truthfully don't know, even after almost 30 years of being in this profession, if this is the right profession for them to get the flowers and the
that's right.
That deserve,
and it needs to be a profession that we can guide students to, that they want to do, they're driven to do, but that their passion matches their paycheck.
Ooh, say that.
Yes, the passion got to match the paycheck.
I love it. Well, Doc, I'm not gonna hold you, man. We could talk for another hour. You know that.
Yeah, man. Yeah, man.
At some point, I mean, this has been such a great conversation. I know at some point I'm gonna have you come back on the show. But I definitely appreciate you coming on the show and just dropping all these golden nuggets for our viewers and our listeners. But before you leave, can you please leave us with some parting words of wisdom? Tell us how we can connect with you, and then we'll see.
Yeah. You can connect with me. In addition to the book and the EDD program, I have a consulting company. You can find me on LinkedIn at Rick Fowler. You can shoot me an email at rmfvconsulting at gmail.com. But LinkedIn is probably the best way to find me. Okay. And I would love the opportunity to come and serve, work with motivational. I do motivational speaking. I can work with students. I can work with leaders. Yeah, I've kind of done it all in my time. And so I'm passionate about it all.
I can tell. Any parting words of wisdom?
Man, listen, I didn't want to say thank you, sir, for having me and giving me the opportunity to speak. As you said, we could do this all day long,
100%.
All day long. But for the folk who are listening, it is sincerely my hope that the conversation was uplifting, meaningful. It is my hope that you can just glean a nugget from this and hopefully be inspired, not only to continue the work that you're doing, no matter what genre of work that you do, but you're inspired to do it a little bit better, Doc. Because we can all get better at what we do. And so I hope that you are inspired to just be better and change your language from I have to get up and go to work on a Monday morning to I get to get up and go to work on a Monday morning.
Love it. Love it. That's a mic drop moment. Thank you so much, Brother Fowler, for coming on the show. I can definitely see there's greatness within you, and I can tell that the future is bright indeed for soon to be Dr.
Yeah, come on.
I'm going to speak it into the universe.
Speak it.
100%. So once again, thank you, my brother. You definitely met a new friend and have a new friend and colleague and thought partner in me, and I definitely wish you all the best.
Absolutely. Thanks a lot, Doc.
Yes, sir.